thank you everybody for making it out tonight. It's a pretty stinking evening out there. We had a few call-offs, but I appreciate everybody that's came out tonight to show face and be here. The drinks that you're drinking are from my friend's soda company, so they're all made locally in Glasgow, all from natural flavours. The reason I'm telling you this was I actually bought a load for this evening, and I got there tonight and they forgot I was coming, and it was completely shut up, locked up. So the cans that you've got there are the ones that I found outside. So
just randomly.
Yeah, so you'll notice that they've all got bumps and dents on them. So I took them in here and gave them all a good wash. So don't worry. I'm sure there's a few people in here that have drank a lot worse over the years. So yeah, it'll do you no harm. But chaps, thank you so much for coming here tonight. It's an honour to have you both here on our second Changemakers evening. Callum Beattie, lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you, brother.
Dave, lovely to meet you as well. Most people in the audience probably know who this guy is here, Callum. If you don't, obviously, if you follow their social media, they'll probably know who you are, Dave. But if you want to give people a quick introduction about who you are.
I'm basically Callum's manager and have been for 4.5 years. Feels like about 35, but about 4.5 years. And I've kind of worked in the music business my whole life. Don't really know how to do anything else. So despite many repeated attempts to leave it, I always seem to get drawn back in. And in the last 4.5 years, I've been kind of, I suppose, a culmination of all that work, getting to the point that I'm actually doing something that I really love.
Yep.
And I think that's why there's a bit of resonance with what you do, that we're, him and I are in a kind of slightly different place from, I think, where most people would be in the music business, because it's such a predatory.
So you're not miserable anymore?
No, absolutely not. Well, not often anyway.
I think when I met you for a coffee, and I don't know, there was a point in the conversation that I really remembered that I wanted to bring up tonight, which was, I don't think it was maybe the first time you had met, but you were in a bar.
It was actually the first time we had
Was it?
properly met. I mean, we had spoken on the phone, I think, a few times, but the night we met in Sleazy's was the first time we had actually face-to-face met. And
how did that come about? Because it's a really good story.
So basically, I'm 35 now. I've been in the music industry for 20 years, as mental as that sounds. And my career, I tried everything possible to make it happen. Writing songs for pop stars and stuff like that. And I got a message from Dave out of the blue, and he said, I'd love to meet you for a beer before your concert at the garage. And I'd sold 28 tickets. And most of them were my family that I had to drag along.
who were much scarier than the rest of the audience, in fairness.
Exactly. And he basically just asked me what was going on with the industry and stuff like that. And I was with a huge record label at the time called Universal. And basically, I was in really a bad place, but I could not show weakness, because you can't show weakness in the industry. You have to pretend that everything's gone amazing, even if you sold 28 tickets. So he basically sat with me. It was the first feeling I ever had where I genuinely thought somebody cared about me. And from there, he basically said, look, why do you sound, you've given all your favourite bands, you sound nothing like them. I says, it's because I've been kind of coerced into being somebody I'm not. And that was going on for a lot of years, but I didn't realise what an impact it was having on my mental health. It was really quite horrendous at times, trying to be somebody you're not. And my love for music, I was ready to just kick it. But I fed him a lot of lies, as you normally do. Told him it was going amazing, and that, I had all these amazing people working with me. The rest of it. And he seen straight through it for the start. But I just had a gut feeling, and I've always been quite a spiritual dude, not religious in any aspect, but more spiritual. And I just had a feeling that I just, for the first time, I believed somebody that they wanted to help me. And I thought, I've got nothing else to lose. So after that night, we stayed in touch. And long story short, I had to try and get out my record deal. And basically, he said, I'm going to work for free, we're not going to sign anything. But it was the first person ever in my life turned around and said, I'm not going to sign anything with you. So I felt that was a bit weird, but here we are, still never signed anything. And he said,
I've got a contract here, you'll be fine.
well, he said, I just want to prove myself to you over the months, and if you like working with me, then we can continue it. So it got to the past of the 8 months, and my management deal that I'd signed for 6 or 7 years, and they hadn't really lifted a finger. That was coming to an end, and I remember the phone call, and I took the phone and I said, I won't be renewing the contract. I was shitting myself, because I'm actually, I pretend I'm a hard man and that, but I'm no. And I find uncomfortable situations very anxiety inducing. So I hadn't slept for about 3 days to make this phone call. And I phoned them, and the only thing I could think of, it was the first thing that came to my head, I goes, do you know what it is, guys? I says, I feel like you're waiting on me scoring a James McFadden goal for the halfway line against France until you pass me the ball. And that was it. I told them it was over. And for 28 tickets 4 years ago, we've now sold 10,000 tickets in 7 days for the Hydro. And I think
the caveat to that story also is that you never actually told me you want to go and renew your deal. You phoned me after you'd made that phone call and went, you're going to be managing me. And I was like, all right.
Aye.
It's kind of like, that's how it's always been, a bit like that.
Aye. And then we just got to work, and it's quite funny because you struggle to write songs and be creative your whole life. And but you know you've got it in you, because otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. But when you've got people that actually just want you to do things you love, for some reason everything becomes easy. Songwriting became easy, studio sessions became easy. I was depressed like I used to be, and it just became easier, and I've never been happier really with my career. But that's a long story short.
You said you were signed by Universal. How did that come about?
So I used to be a pub singer for years, every pub in Edinburgh, Glasgow, and I used to throw in a few tunes like now and again, and I just decided, right, it's obviously not going to happen for me in Scotland, so I need to move somewhere else. And all the record labels were in London. So it's a true story. I moved down to London. I was washing dishes in a kitchen, and I used to walk past Universals every day, the records in Kensington, and I genuinely used to stand outside, close my eyes, and like envisage myself going in to sign a record deal, right? Folk must have been looking for the window going, that freak again. Anyway,
It worked.
It worked. 8 months later, I phoned my sister, and I was like, listen, I'm ready to sack it, just come back to Scotland, I hate it. And she was like, get another 6 months, Callum, you'll be fine. But I'd run out of money, so I went to work on a ferry between Copenhagen and Oslo singing Beatles songs. And then this boy phoned us for Universal, and he said, where are you? I said, I'm actually on a Scandinavian tour at the minute. more
Kind of true.
more bullshitting, because again you can't show it. I need to pretend I'm cool and all that.
The problem was the tour was just going back and forth for the same two places every day.
Exactly. And so anyway, he was talking to us on the phone, and I was like, do you know what? I was like, I'm just going to be honest with you. I said, I need this money because I've been working here for every single night, singing 8 hours a night, no joke. But I need the money so I can come back to London and record the songs that I've written. So if you're taking the piss, I need to know now, because I'm going to lose my job if I come off this ship. And he said, all I'm going to say is you should take this seriously. How soon can you be in London? So I said, tomorrow morning. So I told the captain I had kidney stones. And I went, this is a true story, it's actually fucking mental, but I went into Copenhagen, right, and there was a duty manager that was on the ship, was a wee bit older than me, and she was sort of hanging about me a wee bit and stuff. Anyway, I thought, I'll grab a wee pint in Copenhagen before my flight in the morning. So I went into this bar, I have a quick pint, I'm sitting there having a pint, got a tap on the shoulder, and she's just like, you're looking like you've recovered pretty quickly, Mr. Beattie. I was like, oh shit. So anyway, I had to take one for the team to make sure that I would have my job when I came back. So I went home with her that night. And then I flew to London and signed an £80,000 record deal. And I phoned my dad. I goes, I got 80 grand in the bank. He thought I was fucking on the drugs or something. And I said, no, I've got it. But what I didn't realise is I needed it to last for 7 years when I was in London. So 80 grand, once you take off the tax and all that, I was on less than probably when I was working in Tesco. But it felt like a lot, you know. So I just smashed it, as you do, a young kid, buying everybody beers at the bar and all that. And before you know it, I was in ground zero again. But it was fun for a certain amount of time.
How did Universal come to know about you though?
Basically, it was quite weird. There was an old 90s DJ called Craig, can you remember his name? God bless him, he's not alive anymore.
No.
And he was yes. And his
Who
son,
said that?
so his son done a remix of my song. I didn't even know about it. It's amazing, you go to all these lines like, I'm moving country, I'm going to try all these things, and it turns out just a young kid from Edinburgh done a remix of my song, and he said, who wrote that song? He said, this guy Callum Beattie. And then they asked me to send a few more. Sent a few more, they liked them as well. And before you know it, that was it. But I remember going down to the studio, because I wasn't the full article then, to be fair. I probably never will be. But I remember, it was the only thing I've got ADHD, right, so I'm fucking late for everything. I was early the night though.
That's true, actually.
But this day I made sure I was early, right, so I took my guitar, I'm hiding behind this tree in fucking Kensington, right, and I'm just waiting for like a big car to go in, and I'm like, right, that's the car in now. I was like, right, now you can arrive, and I've made sure I was bang on at 11 o'clock, just to make an example of myself. But as I was saying, it was that big a deal to me. It was the first thing I've been on time for my whole life. And it seemed to work.
So obviously, like, being signed by Universal was that kind of high of initially getting signed by, you know, a record deal. In your mind, you're thinking,
Aye, because
I'm famous, I've made this here.
not so much like famous, more just like I've got an opportunity to be put in front of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And I thought if you signed a record deal, they had all the answers and they could
Yeah,
just
yeah.
chuck me on stage with the Verve or something, and the next thing I'm on tour with them.
Yeah.
It's quite the opposite, really. And I sort of realised that pretty early on, that actually there's no different. It's just basically a guy's give you a bank loan and you're going to spend the rest of your life having to pay him back. And so it wasn't everything, no. It was really difficult. But I'm fully independent now, thanks to Dave. He made their life a fucking nightmare for 2 years. I remember we were doing a charity event in Hamilton High School, trying to help the kids, like talking about my songwriting and how that helps me, like therapeutically, all the rest of it, going through things as a kid. And I remember we just got the email saying we won't be taking the option for the next album, and then we just fucking started jumping.
Well, then we get in the car
We're in
and started hugging and all.
car park. There's kids got to school and that, man, these fucking guys are mental. Anyway,
That's true.
so that was that. Long story short, by the way, but aye. And here we are.
And I think that's true. Everybody believes that signing a record deal is the holy grail. What
not,
people forget to tell you is that at the point you sign to Universal, you're giving up 82% of your income for probably the rest of your life.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? That's the deal. It's an 82-18 split. And when they turn around and go, well, we'll put £2 million in the pot, that £2 million has all got to be paid back before you can ever make any money. So it's actually not an 82-18 split, it's a 100-0 split until that money is back in the bank. And then you get your royalty shares and everything else. And it's just how that industry works is that it's designed to completely always keep you in debt. That's the way they operate. You know, even big acts are kept in debt all the time because it means that then they can exert a certain amount of influence. At least that's our experience. I'm sure that there are some people, and you might know people as well, who love that and really make it work for them. But how we look at it is it's almost like it's as if the music industry selects somebody and it goes, it's you.
Yep.
And then it's like, that's Dua Lipa, that's whoever, and these people get loads and loads and loads of money and do very, very well. But the sad truth is that probably 95% of the people who sign end up in a lot of debt and ruined because of it, and that's just the nature of the business. It's like the tiny percentage of people who are very successful pay for an awful lot of failure. And it's always been like that. It's been like that since I started.
Who have you
35
worked
years
with
ago.
in the industry?
Before Callum, probably the last kind of bigger band I worked with was a band called Fun Loving Criminals, who I worked with for quite a long time. And to be honest, it jaundiced me enough against the music business to not want to do it anymore. When
Really?
I stopped, I was like, I've had enough now, I need to stop.
What were they like as a band to work with?
Probably no an awful lot I could say when there's cameras running, but it wasn't a great experience. And that's so common. I mean, I could rhyme off a dozen artists that I've worked with that made my life hell.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, really, really hellish.
Oh, you calm down, mate.
And I think that's
Came
why,
there, right?
I think that's why when I met him, I was very like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. I really wasn't looking for somebody to take on. And for some reason, there was a really, really strange synergy about it that was just, very obvious that we were going to achieve something. I don't know how to explain it.
Just a feeling, wasn't it? It was just like, do you know what? We've both been through a lot, and we just had a feeling. We're just like, nah, it's our time. It's like us against the world. Let's just fucking go for it, man.
And I think we're actually still like that. And everywhere we went, like, I always remember we did a gig in the Usher Hall in Edinburgh. When we were starting, things were moving slightly. But the gig we did in the Usher Hall, we were facing the wrong way on the stage. So we put the audience in the orchestra pit and played an acoustic
20
show.
people.
No, I think there was about 200 maybe. It was
Really?
so far Sounds or Sam. And we both stood at the front of the stage and went, we will be playing here. And I think about 14 months later, we did 5,600 tickets over with 2 sold out shows in the Usher Hall. And then we did, in 2 years, we had 6 sold out Barrowlands, which is 1,900 a night. And all of these things, everybody goes, oh my God, you've done amazingly well. But every single thing we've done, we've stood on the stage previous and went, we are going to do this at some point.
Yeah.
And I don't really believe in the whole thing
we're gonna
about
do it.
manifesting and all that. I think it's all become a big marketing ploy for us. It's like we just put it into the atmosphere and we know we're going to be able to make it happen.
We just find a way, don't we?
And I think that's the thing. When we put the Hydro on sale, we were absolutely shitting ourselves. Because at that point, I mean, for the Hydro to work, the break even for the Hydro for us is selling about 7,000 tickets.
Mm-hmm.
The promoter set as a target is 6,000 in 6 months, knowing that if we get to the 6,000, we'll be okay. We did 6,000 in 25 minutes.
What's the most amount of tickets? What's the?
I know.
That's truly honest.
Excuse me,
So
fucking
6,000.
right, I need to fucking go on the stage, by the way.
We beat the target that was for 6 months and 25 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And we're now at the point where it's. I mean, neither of us can believe it. I don't
even know who these people are.
We don't stand back
I
and go.
appreciate it, I'm grateful.
So
Strange.
you're saying obviously like you think manifestations all this shit.
No, I don't think I believe in it.
You
But
believe in it,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
believe in the way it's. I don't. How can I put it? I don't believe it's about the secret.
Well, what
I'm a Tibetan Buddhist and have been for 25 years, and my angle about that comes from just believing and being connected to something that's slightly higher than us, and being able to then. I can see it when we work, and when you work in particular, when you are writing together and all that. And I don't know if you see this or not, but when I'm in a room,
just so the camera knows, you're talking to David
talking to
Sneddon,
David
by the
Sneddon.
way.
Well, when I'm in the room with him, it's almost like you can feel this thing opening up. It sounds ridiculous, but it feels like a portal. And it feels like there's a creative connection to some higher stream of consciousness that's bringing that in. And in actual fact, him and I have been talking about making a TV programme about it for about 3 years. That if you could speak to people who could be really honest about the creative process, how much it is coming from you and how much are you able to draw down for something else or draw up, I don't know. Nobody seems to understand it. You know, and I've spoke to some really, really big writers about it, and most of the big writers will say the same thing, that sometimes songwriting is really easy, sometimes it's impossible. And it just feels like it's a creative connection to something that's, and I think him and I have kind of had that together for day one about the business, where we were just like, well, we know we can do this, but we also know that the right path for us was never to be with a major label that were going to make you Harry Styles, which is what they really wanted to do.
I struggled with I did my last album even with Dave, and he turned and he was like, what sort of album do you want to make? I was like, I want to make a punk album. And he was like, that's what we're going to do. So the next thing...
That's partly how we get out of the deal.
Aye. And the next thing, got a phone call this one day, and they said, One Direction songwriter in LA has written a song, and you're going to sing it. I said, it sounds like fucking Boyzone or something. I said, I can't stick it on that record.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Um,
Okay, well. Sorry about that. So I said, no, it sounds like Boyzone or something. So I can't stick it next to like rock and roll. And he basically said, well, you didn't put it on, we'll not be putting the album out. I said, but I didn't even write it. I says, can I at least try and make it my own? Nah, we can't do that. I was like, so you want me to sing somebody else's song that I earn absolutely nothing for and stick it on an album when I've just spent 2 years writing it? I was like, that's absolutely fucking mental in my head. And I remember the voice call, the video call on Zoom or whatever you call it, and the radio plugger was sitting there with a big fucking smile on his face, and he goes, he's like, he says, but just think about it, when you're globally rich and famous, he says, then you'll like the song. And I was just like, do you know what? That fucking right there, you'll never understand me. You'll never understand why I do this. And I found it quite upsetting, to be quite honest with you. So anyway, I left the house that day, didn't I? I thought, I'm going to fucking kill somebody. So I was like walking down Glasgow. It's a God's honest true story because it sounds like I made it up, like a fairy tale. But I left the flat and I was fucking raging. I had enough, you know, I absolutely had enough. I'd been through it for years. I was 30-year-old. I was just like, I just want to play music that I like. Like, how fucking hard is it, you know? So the next thing, I'm walking through and I'm desperate for somebody to just start on me or something, say something, you know. So like mentally just kind of losing it a bit. Because I'm not a hard man, as I say, so I would have shot it eventually, but but I was, yeah, in that moment I was like, I'm fucking up for it. Anyway, I'm walking past, don't even know where I'm going, aimlessly, and this homeless guy, Callum, walking around, turns around, he's like, alright mate. I was thinking, fucking hell, I was like, I can't show him like raging. The next thing he was like, you were at the soup kitchen, because we work with a lot of homeless charities. And he was like, mate, you signed Caledonia at the soup kitchen a couple of years ago. He was like, fucking, he said, I've been a fan ever since. And see that moment, suddenly, it was the most therapeutic thing ever happened to us.
It's a big shift, I think.
And I was like, Jesus, you know.
That's why I do what I do.
And I sat down and just spoke to him for ages. And I could tell he was wanting riddies eventually, to be honest with you. He was. Well, he was just like, fucking hell, you know,
I was just saying hello.
I don't know, it's amazing how the simple wee things, I don't know, it just changed everything, and it just made me feel, I just was so grateful for that. I just needed somebody to put a fucking arm around me, and it just happened to be someone that had completely nothing even close to what I've got, and I found that really incredible, really.
That's beautiful.
Ah, it is.
That is really beautiful, honestly. Wow, that's nice.
It's true, honestly.
Yeah.
I told
I think
him.
sorry, I'm interrupting that the music industry, and it's just they're not trying to make music; it's just trying to make money.
And you forget that.
You speak to anybody in any industry, whether it's fashion, music, or anything like that, and the soul and the heart is slowly but surely just getting ripped out of everything.
But it's like me coming into your shop and going, right, I'm just going to fucking put purple paint on all your t-shirts, mate, because that's what's selling this week. So I know you've spent like your whole life on it and that, but that's fine. What we're going to do, we're just going to fucking read
That is what they did, though. It's the equivalent of taking a Picasso and going, it's not quite right, that. I think we'll stick googly eyes on it. Do you know what I mean? That is what they're like.
Yeah.
Or it was for us. That is genuinely
Though that was my experience, and I'm sure
mental.
there's other people that have great experiences. And you know what? The truth is, everybody's just trying their best, and all these people at record labels as well, I would say 80% of them are just trying to keep their job and trying to find a way of showing people that the reason they're there, they're earning a wage because I've done this and I've created the new Adele. The problem with that is that people get into music because it's something much deeper than that a lot of people will never understand because they're no musicians. And as soon as they start meddling in that, you know, then it's a whole different thing, you know.
Yeah. It's yeah. I was quite a good time to kind of. I was reading a book actually, and and I was listening to it the other day, and this came up on it, and it really resonated with me, and I wanted to say it to both of you on this podcast and see what it made you feel. And because it's the instruments of war in the hands of generals are extremely dangerous. In the same way, nothing is more dangerous and potentially world transforming than implements of creative expression in the hands of artists.
Mm-hmm.
They are the moulders of the unconscious psychic life of humanity, the myth makers of their age. It is the artists, and we are all artists, who are the heroes of the world.
Love that, man.
Like, and that's where I think, like, that's where all that's been forgotten.
Oh, totally.
Totally.
And I think, sorry, if anything's to change in this world massively, it's not going to be governments, it's not going to be, you know, anything like that. It's people, it's artists that are going to make that shift and make a change in things. And that's what really, really made me gravitate towards both of you guys, because I was just like, and I heard about what you were doing and stuff like that, and like I was just like, it's just so much more heart-led, purpose-led. And you know, when would you say that real shift came? Was it just used to being together, or?
I think so.
I think it probably was. I think from day one we just had this thing where, and I think we're still the same. We love making money, but that was never the focus of what we set out to do. The making money was always a byproduct of
Still
what we
see
set
it like person.
But we
Got a fucking free jumper today. What are you doing?
I think that you're right. I think that if you were to go into a record company, pretty much any record company in the world, and say what you just said about being heart-led and all that, you get laughed out of the door.
Ah, you would.
And it's so sad, because that's what music is to me anyway. It's a creative expression that is therapeutic for people. And
Dude, like, I swear on your life, every song we've written, this new record's not yet, it's all my experiences, traumas, childhood traumas. I'm putting my heart on my sleeve, and I'm writing about deeply, deeply problematic things in my life that have, you know, could have really damaged me, and they have damaged me, but, you know, lucky for me, I found music's like my healer, exactly what you're talking about. And I think that's a problem with the industry, in my opinion. They'll never understand that. This is far deeper. It's keeping me sane, and it's almost like my own therapy. You know, I've had therapists and that, get all that. I actually just feel sorry for them having to listen to my fucking nonsense. Whereas, if I put it in music, folk then get to listen to my nonsense without even fucking realising it. And then for me, I get to listen to my nonsense, and I've got it off my chest. And it's like, so I win, ultimately.
There was about 10,000 people that should pay to listen to your nonsense, so...
I think the key to that is, though, is that honesty and integrity that's involved in that is what creates the connection to other people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that we were very specific about trying to engage directly with fans, where it was almost like, it's not really an ethereal thing for us. We look at it and we go, how can we connect this to this and other people? And then how can you make that from 300 to 500 to 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000? And that's what we've done. Yeah. And I think a lot of people think about it like that. They just think, oh, we go on and perform and people enjoy it.
People come and they let go, and, and they cry, and they feel all these things, and then they want it again. Because they go, I felt fucking great there. You know, it made me feel so good. Like we do on the stage, and we're like, right, what we do next? Because I need it. You know, it's like a drug. Yeah, I need it. You know?
Yeah. It's see, like, obviously, like, where the obviously, like, the is there any gigs at all that you basically have maybe turned down over the last few years with this kind of attitude and change of direction, or were you just went like, that's not for us anymore?
No, we just go where the money is. Actually, there are a lot of gigs,
really big ones.
There are a lot of gigs that I'll knock back, because, and I wouldn't even consult him sometimes about it, because I just know it's wrong. Do you know what I mean? There are things that we get asked to do, I'm just going, I'll never do that. And actually, there's some charity things and all that we get asked to do that I wouldn't do too, because it just doesn't align with
it's motivated with people as well, and
definitely.
Obviously I'm not going to like say anybody in the industry, but like there's gigs with some enormous bands that we know, and we've not taken them because we didn't feel like we want to invite them into our circle. And I know that sounds so fucking fairy dust, but genuinely, it's like we're very, very careful who will it in, because I've had it for 20 years and I'm gone, if there's something I'm picking up on you, I'm not going to touch it with a barge pole. Doesn't matter if you offer me 50 grand, no interested, mate.
Well, that's the only conversation you and I ever have. Does it feel right? No, we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm. And
Does it
sometimes
feel right?
we can't even tell you what it is. Just didn't feel right about that. I'm like, I don't know what it is.
And then sometimes we'll compromise because we know it means we can pay wages for 6 months, and you go, right, but we know that we're doing it for that. We're never going to get
Because we've got
embedded
bands
in
to
it.
pay, we've got lighting
you know.
guys, we've got engineers, we've got stage guys, we've got security, all these things. And we can't just stop gigging because these guys didn't get paid.
Yeah.
And they've got livelihoods and families as well that we need to look after.
Yeah.
So it is hard to turn them down, but equally it weirdly isn't hard as well because it just doesn't feel right.
I think we're ultra protective of that circle. We've
Yeah.
got like an inner circle that nobody gets to penetrate. And I suppose really at the root of that, the nucleus of that, sorry, that's maybe not the best language, but the nucleus of that is kind of him and I, where we go, like, well, that's what's right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think we are very, very guarded about that. And a lot of people get very annoyed at us, don't they? Because they want that circle.
And they find it
try
personal, and it's not personal, it's just, I just like him, it's like, oh, sorry, why we're busy that night. And then I'm out fucking on Instagram, hey, we're doing everyone, you know. No great. Anyway.
Yeah, I think you'd said you were almost trying to set up almost like a kind of mini cult, almost in a way.
That's kind of what it feels like a lot of the time, because when you go into a venue, it's like you've got this tribal thing, haven't we? It's like people are very engaged with it, and
I've let them in a lot as well in my own life.
that's true.
So a lot of
Probably
them
more than you should sometimes.
do actually know a lot about me. And sometimes I meet people and they can tell me all this stuff about myself. I don't know if I don't. I find that quite strange. But equally, I'm going, well, I'd rather that than, you know, that's the whole point. I'd rather feel like I know the person that's turning up watching this, you know, listening to my tunes and that.
Yeah, and I think you were saying gigs as well. I was speaking to somebody who's in the same kind of probably level of stardom as yourself, and I think gigs are the only true way of making money anymore, isn't there? Is that the case?
Pretty much,
you know, from the point of view of
very hard to.
it's hard to, because you know I was speaking to you before and you're just you're looking to sell, you know, albums, and it's just you know.
I think it's slightly different.
That's David Snedden. He's sold about 20 million records.
He's much better off than we are, though.
Oh, aye. Look at his shoes.
I think, in fairness, I think that the concept of selling records for most bands who are signed to labels, it's immaterial. But for us, because we're independent, we can make money selling records.
Yeah.
Because we own it. The problem is that if you don't own the copyrights and if you're not in control of that, then you're at the mercy of somebody else taking the money off you. And what labels do is they go, oh, well, we paid for this, and he'll go. There's a situation where in his previous deal with Universal there was a bill on it for £40,000 for stylists, and I went back to them I was able to go through 5 years of statements when I took him on, and I went, have you ever met Callum? £40,000 for a stylist. And I went to him
and
I said,
how many records I'd need to sell to pay that back for somebody to put my fucking pants on?
I went back to him and said, what did you get from that session that you did for the styling? And he got a bike jacket that was about 750 quid. And
it's a good jacket though.
You still got it.
To be fair, it wasn't worth 40 grand, but it was a nice jacket.
You know, that's what you're up against. So that's why it's virtually impossible to really make money selling records. But we can make money now because we can control it and we can go, right, well, this is how we do this. We know exactly how much we get for every record. So for us, it's pretty much impossible to make money from streaming because we don't do the kind of numbers on Spotify that a lot of other bands will do. But there are people on Spotify doing 10 billion streams that can't sell 300 tickets. So it's so weird.
That's a dumb cart.
We just
I don't get too upset about that.
About Spotify.
Because it's dark art, no one understands it. I mean, I've got friends that are playing in the Duck and Pond and they've got more streams than Biffy Clyro. So I can't.
Why do you think that is?
It's just
creators
because
and
playlists.
I reckon. I mean, I definitely think a lot of it is.
Really? In what way?
Oh, without a doubt, mate. Because it doesn't make any fucking sense otherwise.
I just think a lot. I think that you can buy the streams pretty easily. I don't think. I mean, at one point we nearly did that, didn't we? Because we had a studio that had 20
curator playlists and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like kind of friends that I've got 50 million followers on Spotify or something. I'll put you in my playlist.
but you pay for it.
Yeah.
And you would normally
but they'll still
pay-
get money back. So
Aye,
they're in.
but you would normally be paying pretty much everything you're earning or
Aye.
more. You know, so it's such a tiny
Yeah.
amount of money that comes back. Unless you're getting billions of streams, then it's virtually
It's a
impossible.
weird industry, but I'd like to move on to some positivity actually.
Let's move on to something positive. It was your mental health song.
Wait, this is your life, innit? So these are the bad
Let's
shit.
hope your
These
ex-girlfriend's
are the
on here.
fucking bad shit you've done. But equally, you're not a bad guy. Sorry.
No, you're right. For Mikey's Line.
Aye. So Mikey's Line are a charity in Inverness. Who Inverness has got the highest suicide rate in the whole UK. So when they came on our concerts, we were put on the t-shirts and supported them that way. But then we decided to get involved more deeply because it's quite a weird thing. We didn't make any money out of charity work. We never take a penny, genuinely. And we've raised 700 grand for all these different charities in Scotland: homelessness, kids with cancer, and addiction, and mental health. And it was something we fell into. When we were fan building, we were taking gigs left, right and centre. And then each charity started realising, he doesn't mind doing some charity stuff. So we started doing all the charity stuff. And what would happen is, rich people would buy tables at these events, and then you get them liquored up. And basically they started having a sort of betting off, because it's like, who's got the biggest fucking, pocket? So they'd be like, 15 grand for a house party. And we're sitting there going, okay, well, it's going to help the kids and that. 15 grand, 30 grand. And I'm just like, this is fucking mental. So before you know it, over the last 4 years, it's amounted to an astronomical amount of money. But that being said, so we work with a lot of different charities, and Mikey's Line is one of them. So the last single we put out was Something in My Eye, and I wrote it with David, and we never actually planned on putting it on the record. It was maybe just like a song that I really liked, but it just found a home for the charity, and I thought, you know what, we're between records, let's put it out and see what happens. So we put the song out. Next thing, radio love it, everybody loves it, it's got 1 million plays in 3 days or something. And the next thing, Hollywood actor Sam Hewhan, we got in touch with him, says, mate, would you mind being in the video? It's for the charity. We're going to try and make life a wee bit better, putting some money in Inverness and see if we can make any difference. And he was like, no bother, why don't you come down to the Outlander studios and we'll film it there. And I was like, this is absolutely mental. So we're walking in the Outlander studios and that. And him and Richard Rankin as well, they had walked in and they had learnt all my song, every lyric.
They'd also been working all day. They came off the back of a 10-hour stint down
And he's sitting
Outlander.
and he's literally looking at the camera doing all this, and it's amazing to watch actors work, So he sang every line, and never even asked for a penny. He's probably going to hit us up at some point. We'll get in touch with the charity, they'll get a lawsuit or something. But no, they were very kind, and it's just great to have people that are successful, that give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually going, no, do you know what? If I'm asking for help for everybody else with my career and different things to make my life great, you need to do other things for other people. And I feel like that's kind of worked well with us.
Mm-hmm.
You said something to me 2 weeks ago that really resonated with me, and I don't even think you realised you'd done it. We were talking about, we're playing a festival the same weekend as Oasis are playing, and you've obviously got Oasis tickets, and I was kind of like, well, I don't know what we're going to do because we've got to travel down to somewhere ridiculous. And I said, let me see what we can do and all that. And he said, no, leave it as it is. The festival's what's important. And you said, I can't ask for the world without expecting to give the world, or something like that. It was something along those lines. And I think that is the key to what we do. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you're asking for somebody to put their hand in their pocket and come to a gig and all that, or anything like that, it's because you're willing to give it. You're not going, no, I'm holding on to all this, but I still expect you to spend the money. And it's the same with the charity thing as well. The reason people dip into their pocket is because we're totally genuine about it. We just go out and go, well, it's a tax write-off or whatever. You can afford to spend 25 grand. We'll come to the house and cook your dinner and play a gig for you. And what happens a lot of the times is they never take them up. You just don't do it because it gets forgotten a bit or whatever. But the money still goes to the charity. And I think that's...
I was going to ask you if you've
been
been
amazing
any,
for that.
any weird house parties. Any weird rich house parties?
Been to a few, like, actually.
Can't really think of any that were. I mean,
I had a house party in Liam Gallagher's hotel room once.
I think that counts. I want to maybe go down that road.
It was absolutely mental.
Was
I was just sitting there, like, actually looking at him, and he had his fucking glasses on, and he was
And he's
like literally walking about the room like that. And I was thinking, that's fucking mental that you're actually like that. And but he was like the nicest, like very gentle, lovely person, man. Honestly.
Was it just the two of yous in the room, or was the other?
No, I was
drummer,
part of his drummer, so
Right, okay.
he got an invite, but I turned up. Dan goes, "This is Callum's an artist." He was like, "You fucking Picasso or something." And then I roll up my t-shirt sleeves like an everything, right? And he turned around and he was just like, "What, you fucking Scottish Bruce Springsteen or something?" And I was like, "Mate, if you're trying to insult me, I'll fucking take that any day of the week."
That's brilliant. You've obviously, touched on kind of ADHD, kind of mental health, and I've seen on your socials and stuff like that, you obviously maybe taking small stints away from alcohol and stuff like that.
I did 4 months with it. I needed to know that I wasn't reliant on alcohol all the time, and I needed to know that I just wanted to know how it felt to go a long period of time like I was when I was born, rather than being around it. Do you know what I mean? And but it was good for me. I learnt a lot of things about myself. I mean, you've probably noticed that I've got text that sounds like I'm on drugs and like all that, but I can't help it. It's like I don't know if it's fucking, what do you call it?
Well, I think the biggest issue with your ADHD is that you've got like an emotional dysregulation thing that really sometimes makes life quite hard.
Yeah.
Oh, it's difficult, like. But
And I think that you go through periods where everything is a catastrophe, and then you go through other periods where everything is amazing.
I know, totally.
And I'm kind of the same. And I got diagnosed with ADHD in my 50s.
Uh-huh.
And I found it very, very, very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard.
It's, breathwork's always been pretty good for that. Like, could you do any kind of meditation or breathwork or anything like that?
It did help. You did it for a while, I think, with the meditation stuff when you were done.
I had something to say there, but I'm not going to say on camera. There was no, but do you know what's really weird, mate?
Yeah.
See, like, so when I'm in my bed, I like watching like fucking spooky shit, right? So like ghost stories and that, right? For some reason, somebody talking about like, last night he came to the house and there was a shadow on the wall, and I'm just like, I fall asleep like that. Honestly, every single night without fail, always leave a light on, kitchen light, door ajar, done it since I was a kid. Ghost story, like that. Fall asleep, honestly, man, like folk think I'm absolutely crackers, but I swear to God, for some reason.
Usually you wake up in the morning and the ghost story's still playing on repeat because it's on some kind of loop, so sometimes it's on for 10
You're not
hours.
going to believe this, right? Mark Black, who was on the first episode,
Uh-huh.
said the exact same thing.
Really?
He puts on murder
That is-
interrogations.
Same
He'll
thing.
sit and he will put YouTube murder interrogations
exactly
on to
what
try
he
and
did.
help him sleep.
Like in the room, and they're going, like, so tell me, what did you do with the body? And I'm like, perfect.
No, usually what he does, he'll text me at midnight and go, you need to watch this, and I'm up all fucking night. So I'm like, oh my God, what happened to that guy? He's sleeping at 12:30.
So,
Strange, isn't it?
you're 4 months off alcohol,
No, I'm back on the alcohol, but I'm not drinking every day.
No, I said,
But I did.
It was good
I did
for your 4
for-
months.
It was fucking great. Aye. Basically, you're touring all the time, going to different events. There's alcohol left, right, and centre. And I'd been drinking for about 3 months last year, and I just got to a point where I was like, I've had enough of this shit. Emotionally, it was making a really big impact on us, and my anxiety was through the roof. Just like, it's amazing how small things can just set your anxiety off, and I'm like, suddenly I just go, the worst possible thing that my brain can make up is about to happen. I mean, horrendous stuff that's impossible to happen.
Yeah.
And that's it. Once it's in, I can't get it out. 3 days, I'm like this in my bed, I'm laying John like this, crippling me, crippling anxiety. And I believe that a lot of it was to do with alcohol induced because it was weakening my mind. So I had to do something about and I just knocked it on the head for 4 months. It was really difficult because you're going touring, your whole band's partying, and you're sitting there going, I'm just a boring bastard. But I had to be, you know. And so you start like rebelling, going like, oh, look at you, start drinking, eh? What a joke, you're only strong enough to, you know, 'cause I'm just trying to find ways of coping.
Yeah.
But what it did do was, it reset me now. And I know that I didn't need alcohol. So I learnt a lot about myself through that period. But it was much needed.
I also don't think you don't drink anything like what you were drinking before.
No. This week in
And
the
you've got
studio
much
we've been
better
drinking
control
most
over it.
nights because we're partying and having a great time. But I can categorically tell you, I finished the record today. Tomorrow, rest of the weekend, I'll be away in my wee camper van, no alcohol, nothing for 3 weeks. Sitting having fucking ballet teas and shit with my guitar, you know, in the wilderness. So and then I'm good.
I think the one thing about that, and it's, I think, very specific to the music business, if you were a plumber or an electrician, people don't phone you before you turn up for a job and go, what alcohol and drugs do you need?
Yeah.
That's how the music business works. You turn up for your work and there's a table that's covered in
What do you
every vice you could possibly dream of.
And if you say I'm not
Because
drinking today,
that's
they
what
look at you like you're a
they
fucking freak.
actually do look at you like you're crazy,
Yeah, like,
and that's
you mental.
that's definitely not a normal scenario.
No.
And we
And it
have
makes it very hard to stop it, doesn't it? Because it's there all the time.
we have really close friends musically that we have to watch daily struggle with the most horrendous addictions you wouldn't even believe it. Honestly,
Just to get to a base level.
just to get to a base level, and they're our closest friends and we love them dearly. There's nobody there to help them, and we've reached out to people in the music industry, these folk that basically stick it on the table but weren't unwilling to help you when you're fucked. And it's really fucking horrendous to watch. And I guess that's one thing that we're really carefully just like making sure. I just really struggle with industry, and I do have a chip on my shoulder about it. I know I do, and I know it's not bad, and I know there's good people out there, I get it, but it's the bad stuff. I hate watching it and people doing fucking nothing. I really fucking struggle with that, and I go home at night sometimes really upset, but it's part of the industry we're in it.
I suppose. But I don't think it should be.
No. I watched the Avicii documentary. That was
It's
pretty.
really hard.
It was hard to watch.
Actually, I was in Thailand in January for a month and we watched, I think there was actually two, but the one you're talking about, I regret the whole way through it. I couldn't cope with it. It was really difficult to watch it. And when the stuff at the end was just, oh my God, if anybody is wanting to watch anything about creative stuff and mental health, that's the documentary to watch.
I think there's something to do with a creative brain as well, and because you're quite an emotional dude, well I am. I mean, I get told I'm the most emotional guy that folk can, and I don't know if it's just my brain or something, but maybe because I'm so soft or like emotional or whatever, maybe I kind of get easily upset by other people, watching other people do that, where maybe some people can just switch off to it and can no feel anything. But I don't know, I have this weird empathy thing that I can't shrug, and it's great in some aspects, but it's not great for me sometimes, you know.
I think the weird thing about that is that the fact that we're both quite emotional like that, and I think that's one of the things that served us very well in terms of getting where we get to, but it's also a weakness sometimes because sometimes you're just totally open to abuse or to people. It can be very hard sometimes. You know, like remember when we played the Hydro before, we went into a Raymond McDonald, and I think it was the first time actually, Promoter said it was the first time they had ever had a full house in the Hydro for a support. And after he came off, we were just stood cuddling one another for 5 or 6 minutes, properly sobbing. And I'll never forget Amy McDonald's crew pushing these flight cases round past us to go on the stage, and there was no way they could move us. We were just stood like that. For
I think it's just because it was weird.
Overwhelmed by the magnitude of the thing. I suppose.
Because there's one thing saying you're going to do something, and then actually when it starts
When you
happening,
experience it,
it's like, holy shit, like maybe we do deserve this, you know. It's quite, and that's something that I've always had as well. It's like, you kind of like, I don't know if it's just like my background upbringing. It's like, do you deserve these things? Like, what have you done to deserve it? And maybe that's why I feel the need to help loads of other folk with charities and stuff, because I feel like I need to feel in myself that I deserve it. You know what I mean? It's a fucking strange thing. The male mind is a fucking weird place, man, to be. And aye.
I think that was one of the biggest things for me. I think because I took a year off alcohol And then since then, like, I have maybe had the odd drink every now and again, but I think once you take like a stint off and you see other people on it constantly, you see it from a different perspective.
You do, aye.
And I think now for me, I can now, like, you know, get to that point where I can maybe have a couple of drinks where I could look over that ledge and go, I don't need to go there, and then just stop. Whereas beforehand, I'd be fucking swan diving. Do you know what I mean? That would be me for 2 days. My sister on Facebook trying to put stuff on there, trying to find me. Do you know what I mean? I just disappear.
I know, mate. And it is the stuff that your family, your friends, all these people, you're putting them through stuff when Callum goes missing or, you know, whatever. And it is that's the bit that actually you need to wake up to, and you're like, I'm fucking done with this. You do care about yourself so much, but you care about everybody else.
Yeah. I think the biggest breakthrough, I think, because I also have ADHD as well, and I think the biggest kind of breakthrough for me that I realised is that basically I hated myself. You know, and that basically I had been fucking talking to myself like shite for 40 years.
I said this last week.
It's the same things we've done.
You know,
I said to him, I goes,
you know,
I fucking hate, sorry for the language and that, right? I said, why do I not treat myself?
No, what you actually said was, if I treated other people in my life the way I treat myself,
I'd be a scumbag.
I'd be probably in prison for treating people that badly. And
Ah,
I'm exactly
true,
the same. We've both done that our whole life. I've done it since I was a kid. I've always done it. And people see me in there and think, oh, he's really confident and he's got it. It's bullshit, because inside you can be crumbling. And if you don't have I mean, I'm very fortunate. I've been with my wife for nearly 40 years since we were at school. But when I see it in you, I'm just like, my God, that's me. 15 years ago, I just was angry with everybody, and I was like, and I think that's because of the self-talk. It's because of how you speak to yourself all the time. Very negatively.
Yeah. Because that's it. I mean, it's like, you know, trying to go through school and concentrate through school and fit into certain systems, you know, and
which don't work for
which doesn't
people
work.
who
it doesn't
are
work for, you know,
struggling
people with,
with,
you know, with neurodivergency, and you're kind of, you've just, you know, it's constantly told to fucking sit still, constantly pay attention, or even before I kind of knew it was ADHD, but people are trying to give you directions, you're just like, and then they leave, and you're just like, you've forgotten everything, haven't you, you fucking cunt? Do you know what I mean? And you just
I think you don't care, man, because you didn't listen, and like, I'm listening, but my brain's doing 5 different things at once, and it's terrible. And I could be in conversation with you right now, and you're telling me something, and my mind's wandered, and then you'll ask me something 2 minutes later, I fucking don't know what the fuck he's talking about. And you think they think you're ignorant and rude, and I'm not, and I have to apologise. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I didn't even know where I went, but I'm back, you know.
I think the upside of that is, though, is that it does allow us to be able to create things that are normally available to
that's
other
what I mean,
people.
is that the two of you's being neurodivergent, and this is what you're talking about, is it basically, you know, when you're in a room together, that basically you just feel this synergy, but it basically you just get two brains that probably work quite similar. And the creative brain, I think most people with ADHD are quite creative. They're all natural protectors as well, it's see, I've literally just fucking forgot what I was talking about. You know what I mean? Where I'm going with things. So like there's these this is why we do these things, you know.
Honestly,
it's like
absolutely. And I know everyone says like ADHD, it's like, I understand, like, everyone likes to be fucking labelled with something, right?
I actually hate being labelled with it. I think it's the
Me
worst thing
too.
about it.
I just say it
Shouldn't
because I'm insecure about it, and I'm like, well, I can just tell them what's wrong with me
That's
now.
because it's kind of like you're trying to explain to
Then-
somebody why you're like that. It's like
I'll tell you what's wrong with me now, then every other thought in your head thinking I'm a psycho is gone. So, back to what you were saying.
it's like a game of passive arse.
Nobody's getting any thoughts. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, my partner. So she started to bring it up to me when I think you've got it, and I was just so. And she was just praying that I had it, because you know, it was just
Otherwise you were an ignorant bastard.
That's pretty much. I was. Otherwise, you really don't actually love me, but she just knows it's just this 1,000 years there. What I was going to get to is that I think it needs to be relabelled. It's not actually a disorder at all. It's just a disorder within this world that's been set out, where it's very hard to find your hyper focus You
I
know, that
totally-
thing. But that's the thing is that
we've all got things.
but that's the thing is just like what you guys have found is your thing.
Aye.
That's why it's working
And to
so
see
well.
that, I think that actually quantifies what I was trying to say at the start about manifesting. To me, that's what manifesting really is. It's about trying to find that thing in your path that you go, this is what this is, and now I get it. And when that starts to click, everything else just becomes a very easy process to step through. Do you know what I mean? It's no, like before I met him and I worked in music, I knew that there was things I was doing. I made a lot of decisions in my life that I knew I was making for money.
Yeah.
And those decisions, I knew when I made them were wrong. And I would say to my wife at the time, instinctively, this doesn't feel right, but I'm going to do it because I know if I can bring £2 or £3 million in the door, that's an enormous bonus.
By the way, just to point out, he's not got 2 or 3 months.
No, I'm talking about
other people.
I'm talking about in previous lives. But the thing about it
Lives
is
in
just
Hamilton, or 2 bedroom house.
it's not a 2-bedroom.
I'm talking about fucking £3 million, man.
No, I'm talking about bringing that in as a business,
get
though,
that.
and you think that, oh, this is the holy grail. But the truth is that when you get money that's no instinctively the right money, my experience of that is that no good ever comes of it.
No.
And now it's like we're making a decent living doing what we're doing, but it also feels really good because you're like, God, this is a really great way to make money.
Well, you're
and
grateful.
We're really positive about it, aye, and I never have a day where I've not got gratitude for that because
You know you're
But
also
most
helping
people dream of
as
being
well.
able to do a job like the job that we both do. It's
Yeah.
the holy grail for a lot of people, not to have to wake up at a certain time every day and go and do that, and we get to go and do amazing charity events and meet football players everywhere and go and, you know, it's mental. Like tomorrow we've got to go and do a charity gig for the BBC's political editor, a guy called Glenn Campbell, who's got an inoperable brain tumour, and he's raising money for loads of different kind of brain cancer charities and all that. But we get to go and do that and hang out with people that you just, and we don't make anything for it, we get absolutely zero for it, we need to give up a lot of our time, but it's the most amazing, rewarding thing that you could do.
Talk to me about the Ups and Downs Theatre. Because that
We maybe better be careful because he usually starts.
I agree we're going in, but so it's a Down syndrome theatre group based in Hamilton. There's about 40 it's mixed ages, kids, adults, and they asked us to go along 4 years ago, and I just fell in love with them. They're all really talented, great fun. Actually, how I believe people that didn't have a disability should be like fully, openly loving, say exactly what they feel all the time. And it's just like therapy to me. So every time I go, I'm basically best pals with them now. We go down to the pub and all that. I love it. And so we've been doing that for 4 years.
Every year
7
we do
days a week.
We do 5 shows once
5
a year
shows.
in the Hamilton Townhouse. And it's big, isn't it? Because I mean, you're
big.
doing 800 or 900 people a night and all that. They're big shows.
So-
and the cast come out and do their thing for an hour and a half, and he does 4. This year he did about 4 songs with them.
Then he said to us the other week, he's like, we need to think about a support act for the Hydro. And we're like going through all these different artists and all that. And we both just looked at each other and we're just like, it's Ups and Downs Theatre Group. Let's just get them up. Couple of tunes. They'll love it. Do the sound language. They'll have the time of their lives. So they've got to be supporting us at the Hydro. Just
That's
cool.
amazing.
But we did, in the last night in the Townhouse, we had arranged this thing. Actually, the video will go live at the weekend, but we had arranged to see it on the stage. I had to get up. We're patrons of Ups and Downs, both of us joint patrons, so I went up at the end to say a few words because somebody else couldn't say any words because
I was like,
he was hysterical having to leave them.
because I love them, man.
It was totally hysterical. But I went onto the stage and I was just saying thanks to everybody and all that, and I just turned in and said, obviously we're going to need a support for the Hydro, would you be willing to do it? And the place went bananas, didn't it? And now they're just, I mean, they've been on 2, I think they've been in 2 radio shows since we finished the shows, just basically to talk about going to the Hydro. So we now need to coordinate getting 60 people onto the stage, which I've no idea how we're going to do it, but we'll do it somehow. And they'll just do the first couple of songs, and then George Bowie's going to support us as well. But it's it's definitely the most rewarding thing we do, isn't it?
Honestly, class, man.
You know, it's better than any gig you could play.
Oh, I bet you.
Feeling it is
It's
just,
a cup filling experience.
it's just a totally different thing altogether. They're just an amazing bunch of people.
Oh, imagine you walking into your work and people are literally just like, I love you, man.
Yeah,
Like, I love
that is what
everything
it's
about
like
you.
all the time.
I'm not judging you, I'm not thinking, oh, he's a Rangers fan. Nothing. They just fucking love you and you love them, and that's all that matters. It is the
No
most
shit.
healing fucking thing you'd ever imagine in your life. and and they've got the best stories. They literally have just became our pals. Like, get in touch with us. One of them's want to stick out an album. I'm like, I don't know how we're going to get into that. I say, well, we'll try and make it work.
One of them phones me every couple of weeks to ask if I've got him an agent yet, because he's wanting to go into acting. And he actually would be a really good actor. And I also believe that there should be a massive thing about that. I think that people with Down should be supported in a different way, because I think that there's so much talent and compassion and energy among them that they're just overlooked all the time for parts. You know, it's very, very
People
hard to
get
them.
scared though. They don't. A lot of people don't understand because they've never been in that situation. That if somebody runs up to you and fucking grabs you a hug and doesn't let go for 2 minutes, a lot of people are going to go, I don't know how to react to this, because that's what we do as naturally as humans. But once you understand that it's just a place we love constantly, it becomes addictive, and you're just like, you know what, I fucking love you guys, right? Let's go and play football, do whatever, you know.
That's amazing. What's the what's the future plans for both of you then? And you spoke about maybe books or your own charity.
We've got a book coming out for the album, and we are definitely going to launch a kind of foundation thing, and I think the key for us would be to have a foundation where we actually go, right, we can raise this money, and then we can decide a bit clearer maybe about how to spend it, supporting, like, we've got hundreds of ideas. I mean, we're desperate to start a kind of ups and downs rock school where we actually teach them how to play stuff and getting them to perform with instruments rather than just singing and dancing and all that. So all of those things. But we've got a new album that will come out at the end of the year, probably a couple of weeks before the Hydro, and then next year will just be 3 or 4 months of touring, probably.
To your other albums? Is it quite similar, or?
I personally think that's the best load of songs that he's ever had.
I know every artist says that. I can't say anything because David's sitting there. I've been working with him for 2 years. No, but I genuinely mean this.
It's much more mature than anything you've done before.
It's very, very, very good music, honestly. I'm not joking, and I'm not saying it to promote it, because to be quite frank, I don't care if people hate it, because I love it. And that's all that really matters now that I'm 35. If I hate it, then it's, you know, there's no point putting it out. But I genuinely am in love with it because it's just real, and it's me, and it's everything I've wanted to write.
It's also the first time we've been able to
And I've had fun, and I've not been stressed, and I've not lost sleep over it, and my mental health's been good, and all that stuff. It's just, I know I'm going to look back when I'm old and just go, gee, whoa, that was the best time of my life, and I know it will be. And it has been that.
It's the first time we've made a record that was our record. We weren't influenced by other people.
And it sounds like all my favourite bands put in one, which inevitably sounds like me. And that's what I love about it, do you know what I mean? So it's quite an emotional time, as you can probably see as well. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on in that. But I'm really enjoying it, and I'm grateful to share the journey with Dave. And we always share the same visions somehow. We seem to be on the page a lot of the time. And
very strangely at times.
Especially musically, to say this is what I want to do, and he's like,
Weird.
yeah, I think you're doing the right thing, crack on. And so, I don't know, man. I'm just very, very grateful at my point in life right now, and just want to keep doing what I'm doing and just try and blag it as far as I can, really. You know what I mean? And maybe we'll be at Hampden in a couple of years if I can. Well, you might see us there, you know, or maybe I'll be back in King Tut's or something. I don't know. Sniffing gear.
All I'm going to say is we're not going back to King Tut.
You touched on it earlier, like you like to go away in your camper van.
So I put my mate Brian came round last year, and I was just passing bits of wood and he was knocking them out. So I basically built it myself, and anyway, it's class, got a wee shower and all that, and so I just go away in that every few days, and then I get broke down and need to ask what to give a jump and all that, a jump start. But
we'll get somebody coming tonight actually to try and fix the battery.
Aye, but no, I absolutely love it. It's became the funny thing is I've got this like posh neighbour, right, and he came out to it when I was doing it up, and he was like, you know, it's not in the house deeds to have a camper van in this car park. And I was like, oh really? I says, well, it's a fucking refuge van.
Aye, but that would
Right, it was just
maybe
what
she
came to my head.
KCCs.
I was like, what if it's a refuge van? I was like,
And you phoned me and asked me what did she say, and I was like, just say we use it for mental health support when driving around Spain.
so anyway, now I just call it a refuge van, and it genuinely has become my refuge van, because I can just get out of my bed at 7 o'clock at night, even just like, had my Chinese and that.
Got up to all
sitting
London,
there, I was like, "Oh, I just want to get out of here." And I'll just go and drive up to Stirling, go next to one of the locks, pitch up for the night, and in the morning, make a wee tea, walk down the lock. Bob's your uncle, class man, and then I'll just drive home.
Just yourself.
Aye,
Yeah,
I love it, man.
Brilliant. Bit of solitude.
Class.
Love that. I just wanted to say thank you to both of you, honestly.
Pleasure, my man.
Your open and honesty and your heart, and honestly, it's moved me.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Aye, an amazing person.
Thank you, mate.
Both of
Yeah,
you,
too.
you as well, Dave. I just want to give the guys a round of applause. If anybody wants to go for a wee pee, and then we'll do some questions. Anybody to the toilet?
Then I'll tell you what he's really like.
Only came for a free t-shirt.
So we're just going to move on and just move on to some questions for Callum and Dave. Does anybody want to ask the guys anything while we're here? Jordan?
Yeah, the mic's guys. Sorry, Mike.
Activate the brain.
It's not really a question, guys. It's just more to just honour both of you for your share and for how heart-led you both are. It's been really, honestly, truly beautiful to listen to you both. And I'm know nothing about the music industry, never been involved, but it's beautiful to know there's people like you out there creating a different music industry for, I've got a little boy. And it'd be beautiful to know that if you want to be a musician, there's people like you out there who's creating a better version of that industry. So just thank you so much, honestly, man.
Said that. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Erika.
Hiya.
I'm very grateful to be here. It's actually the first time I meet you both. I really just want to say, as well, as a way of gratitude for you both, to be widely open. I'm originally from Peru, so for me it's something interesting to see people like yourself being really open to, not hide anything about your experience. I truly believe about the power of manifestation, because this is the reason why I came here as well to the UK, and I truly believe about when you have this dream and you believe it, somehow it comes, but you know that the darkness comes anyway. And the willing, the very strong, desire of willing to make a change start from us. So thank you so much for being like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Question?
I was going to ask a question as well, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So off to the mic. Thanks very much, guys. Really enjoyed that, and also thanks, Ross, for putting this event on as well. It's amazing how things kind of work out. I've myself, I'm somebody that struggled with OCD majority of my life, and more recently ADHD. Just something I've not spoke about. Being the kind of classic kind of guy in central Scotland, just not spoke about it. Kind of kept it all to myself and kind of kept things bottled up. But I've got 2 wee boys, and that's totally changed things. And the fact that my wee boys, I love your music, Callum, as well. The fact that they're being open and honest and talking about things made me realise, do you know what, Scott, why can't you talk about it and stuff? So a couple of years ago, I launched an initiative called Bands for Brothers, just to try and get people talking about men's mental health. So that's something that still got a way to go, but I'm really happy that I'm kind of getting the word out there, and hopefully my boys can kind of see that as if their dad can kind of speak about it, then that'll empower them to do likewise. But sorry, long way of getting there, and I do actually have a question. If that's all right, my eldest son, Callum, he's currently going through all the tests for ADHD and stuff, which it makes sense, and he's a wonderfully creative wee boy, but there's a few things at school that they've kind of picked up on, and we've also picked up on in the house. And I guess kind of coming here tonight, my question that he's kind of sort of teed me up for to ask you is like, what kind of tips would you give Callum is kind of on his journey of, you know, discovering, and it's, you know, it's highly likely it is ADHD. What would you kind of tips would you give him?
Just to go easy on yourself. You know, you're gonna, life's complicated. You be kind to yourself, because treat yourself like you treat other people, but also you know, try and find something that you love doing. That, like music, I was just lucky that, you know, I wanted to be a footballer, but I wasn't good enough. So that
Will be injury, was it?
aye. But if you find something that you truly love, it'll always be your comfort blanket and your thing to go to look after yourself, you know, even when life gets difficult. So that would be my advice.
I do think that the whole ADHD thing, I mean, people talk about it a lot, like, oh, it's like a superpower. And I think that there is an element of truth in that if you find what you're talking about. If you can find the place where you know, this is what my path needs to be, I think that it actually makes the experience of the path much, much, much clearer and much easier to obtain. But what I would say is that if you're pushed down the wrong path, it makes your life hell on earth.
Yeah.
Because you're just constantly trying to do something. And I think school is a really good example of it, where I bet you were told all the time, could do better. Looks out the window too much, doesn't
Easily
do this,
distracted,
do that. And I was exactly the same.
Maybe before I was called a lost cause.
Me too. A teacher called me, I think she called me an empty vessel or something like that. And I was like, and it was 14 years ago.
I'm glad we just laugh about it now.
I know, but I can still remember it like it was yesterday.
But it hurts.
Do you know what I
remember
mean?
it?
But when it came to music, I was way above everybody else, because that's the only thing that I could ever find any therapeutic. It just was like my whole life revolved around about doing that.
I need to write a song called Empty Vessel.
And that's great. I just highlight my traumas for the next 10 years. Magic. It took me 40 years to get rid of it. That's what I think. I think, you know, I was encouraged when I was a kid, and my father was in the music business, and I was told, oh, you need to have a real job. You can't do this. You can't. That's what I was told constantly. And it was a big mistake. My mother still does it to this day. She'll say, you know, I don't understand what your job is. I'll go, well, you don't need to understand. I've not got a mortgage. I've done what, you know, it's like I've been able to do all these things. That's the way it is. You don't need to understand it, because that's what my path was. But people just don't. I just think the school system's pushing people into academia that isn't necessarily right.
It's making it harder for people to find what they want to do and love.
Aye, and then I think you can't, you know, you can't get a job if you come through something and you've been influenced your whole way to do something that you don't really want to do.
Yeah, I think there's still a long way to go. Like, we took my eldest son along to the doctors. It was actually a couple of years ago, because we sort of, probably through myself and stuff, saw signs that potentially ADHD, and the doctor sat there and said to us, he doesn't have ADHD because he's not, like, looking through all the cupboards and everything. He's like, he doesn't have ADHD. So for 2 years we were left, so we're now 2 years down the line where he could have been getting more support. That was what we got told. So there's a long way to go.
In that situation, you can either look outwards for stimulation and be that person that's doing all that, or you can go inwards.
Yeah.
You know, and that's for me, and something like that, I was that person at school that was just that.
Yeah.
It's just well, that's the thing, is that I was bored. I was bored. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go into my chocolate factory of my brain. So just go in there and not listen to what people are saying.
Impulsiveness as well is talking about one of the hard things. I'm impulsive, and it gives me a buzz. I'm looking for it constantly, because what it is a chemical imbalance in your brain, where I'm not getting the same dopamine hit as a regular person, so I'm constantly looking for the dopamine hit, be it alcohol, whatever else, but you're constantly looking to level up, and impulsive shopping, stuff like that. So I'm just going, I don't like that shit, 200 quid, fuck it, like that. I've not got 200 quid for it, I'll buy it anyway, because I need the hit. Constant booking holidays, I'm booking a flight, I'm going away them on. I just wanna, I'm away the night, I found a cheap flight to Poland. It's like, who are you on? I'll be back in 2 days. Because I've just woke up and I've fucking decided I need out here. And this has given me the hit that I need.
Usually you'd miss the flight though.
And you see when I'm walking through the airport,
Aye.
I'm fucking buzzing. I've got my backpack on, and I'm just like, yes, you know, I feel good, you know. and it's
Going on
that
an
is the one thing. But the problem with that is dangerous behaviours come around that, and I've made some shocking decisions. Let me tell you that I still now have to live with regret and guilt, all it, just through looking for that hit.
Yeah.
So it's that's the challenge. But I'm also getting a bit older now, and I'm starting to learn a lot about myself, so that helps a bit.
I think you should give yourself a hard time with that because you're a lot better than you are.
Oh, definitely.
You've done an enormous amount of progress.
I'm a new man.
Oh, right. You're getting there.
The jumper.
I've got a new job. New me.
No, cheers, guys. Thanks very much.
Nice one, man.
Thank you. Any more questions? Mark?
I'll have one. I have to say, all this talk of neurodivergence and ADHD and whatever, like, and before I get to my question, because my question has nothing to do with this, or maybe it is, but I don't know. It feels like we're trying to put ourselves in boxes and give each other labels and all that, and it just feels like a product of a society that's forcing us to do that, because the society that we've built around us, of which, by the way, the schooling system is an integral part, is building boxes, you know.
It's placement, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just pigeonholing. It's the same with music, same everything. It's just easier for people to understand what's going on.
Right.
So it's just like...
Helps you make sense of shit, I guess.
That's that. It's that. It organises our minds.
Yeah, and helps us feel a little bit safer, right?
Totally, man.
Yeah.
Makes you feel comfortable. I know what that is now.
Yeah.
So that's why he's behaving.
So I feel better about it now.
Yeah.
My question though, where do you think, and crack open a can, every single one of you, by the way, for this one, because I think I'm looking forward to the answer to this. Where do your two spiritual paths and your two spiritual essences entwine? What is the spiritual connection between you both? Because there's a very clear spiritual entwinement of souls, right?
Well, here's my answer. Both have been through a lot of childhood trauma, which we've both spoken about. Forms a connection. Second, our love for music. The third thing that I always talk about, and I find it really difficult when people don't understand it, and I swear to God, I'm no hippy dippy, if you want to call me that, whatever, but I feel like I'm open. And my thing is, I believe one of the main laws of the universe is gratitude, and if you've not got any, and it's not something that you didn't even get your hands in either, I appreciate you, it's a feeling. And see if I feel like somebody and they feel it, talking about the circle, I'm like, back off, dude. Because I'm just, I base everything around it. Everything that's good that's happened in my life has came through gratitude. Gratefulness for meeting you, grateful you spending the time with, grateful you guys sitting here. Just gratitude, but you have to, it's like a feeling, it's a word, a small word that means so much more. And I always send it to him. I send him me fucking pictures of the earth, and I love that. Gratitude, but he knows what I mean.
Yeah, I've heard all about it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I know what fucking think, like whatever, mate. I get that.
Oh, man, it's much more hippy dippy than that. I mean, I think the answer to that, this is what I genuinely believe now. I believe that it was already written that that's what was going to happen. That's just what I believe. I believe that in life there are certain key things that are markers that some people reach them, some people don't. And I believe in my case that I had a lot of shit to get here. And at the point where we collided, it was very obvious that that was what everything was leading to. In fact, when we announced the hydro, that's what was written in the card that I gave you. It just said, all paths led to this. And that's what I believe. I just believe that that's how it was. And there was so many circumstances that brought us together that are quite bizarre in a lot of ways, that I would find them. And I was never looking for it. I was never focused on that. It just was like, it kind of came out of the blue, but it came after a lot of things happened to me. And I genuinely just believe it was just the way it was supposed to be. And I think that's just what I believe. I don't have any other answer for that. You know what I mean? That's the truth. That's how it feels. And
I just feel like you know something.
There's it almost feels
guided by something different.
It almost felt like when we met that we had known one another for hundreds of years. That's the only way I know how to explain it. It was just like there was a connection there that was something that was way back in the past.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
In a brotherly
And it
way.
sounds ridiculous. Yeah. Only in a brotherly way. So I think, apart from that, I've got no idea.
But I can't where I'm going next, straight to the pub. That's where I'm being guided to right now.
Beer God's calling.
Beer God's calling.
For you, I've got the motor.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Worries. Any more questions?
Yeah.
Thanks, Ross.
Yeah, man. I'm just really curious about like your creative process, like the way that you approach your writing and your music, and like where all the stuff that's inside that, you know, the stuff that comes out where you feel the most. I'm a creative person myself, and I find like a lot of the best stuff comes out when that stuff that's like really deep inside of you, that like there's like you almost feel like a weirdo like going to that place in your head because you're like, oh, like there's something here, and like when you tap into it, sometimes you feel like you're going a little bit crazy. And I feel like the only way you can access that space is if you allow that space in your life in some shape or form. And it can be hard when you're doing it, when you're being creative for a living. So I'm curious, like, for you, how do you enable that? Like, how do you create that space to get there?
Personally, I find it sometimes, I know when I'm writing music for the sake of writing music and writing music for myself. Two completely different things. And David spent a lot of time with it, so he knows that himself, and he clocks it very quickly. The problem with it is the deeper stuff, it's like opening a can of worms. And sometimes you think it's helping you, and then sometimes you go, oh, I'm thinking about that for 2 weeks, you know. And then you play it to somebody and you're going, oh, geez, you know. So as much as it helps you, it still freaks you out a wee bit because you're writing about things that are deeply personal, you know. Sometimes you don't even want people to know. But how I do it, I don't really know, if I'm completely honest with you. I don't think any songwriter knows. I just open myself up to, when I feel like picking up a guitar, I'll pick it up. And normally I'll be lying in my bed and it's 2 a.m. and I just like sleep, and I've just got a feeling something good's going to come here, so I just pick the guitar up. And not 9 times out of 10, when I feel like that urge, something does come good. And then I'll write it in a voice note. But I'm constantly songwriting. Like even sitting in this room, I'm songwriting subconsciously. Something you might say to me as a lyric idea, a title of a song, an idea for a song, all of that. You're constantly open to it. And I'll be writing doing hundreds of things on my phone when I go away, different things. It could be a label on a shirt, anything, it just speaks to me. And I go, yeah, that's like an idea for a song, you know. And it's funny when you start writing a song, you go, now I know what the song's about. And it makes it easier to finish it. But apart from that, I haven't a clue yet.
I think though a lot of your best ideas and a lot of your things you've worked through, some of them will come in 10 minutes. It tends to be and you'll experience this, I'm sure too, some of the things that take the longest are the shittiest. Some of the things that come the fastest seem to be the best. I don't know why that is, but oftentimes
it's because you can't let go of an idea if you think, oh, there's something in it, I just can't work it out.
But there are times where you phone me after 15 minutes in writing sessions and went, this is not going to work. And there are other times where he's phoned me and went, oh my God, I've written the best songs I've ever written in my life. And it's turned out to be true. It's weird. It's a really strange thing.
Yeah.
I suppose maybe if we all knew the answer to that, it would be
well, that's it.
Billionaires writing books and writing songs all the time.
Well, the Beatles, well, let the Beatles off, I've got their socks on. I mean, you know, Elton John would have written like Benny and the Jets over and over and over again, but he can't because it's a place he went to, and that's it. Or he would have wrote Rocket Man 100 times, but you can't because that's just not how it works. So, yeah, that's about it.
Ross, I just want to say thanks for another brilliant evening, and Callum and Dave. I've been in recovery for about 17 years and I bored everybody at the last event, so Ross very kindly gave me a second chance, so I better not blow it. I work in addictions. I run a residential therapeutic community down in Ayrshire for people seeking recovery, mental health issues and substance dependency. I just want to say to both of you though, right, and I did learn an awful lot after 17 years of being in recovery at the last event. What I love at the moment is, and everybody's talked about it, including the audience, that there's a real want and a need for something more than we've all been settling for decades and decades, yeah? And I think the two of you, you're both really articulate, you're both really in touch with your own humanity, and you're not afraid to share that, and that's just wonderful, so thanks for that. But my question to you is, you've both talked about being part of the industry, part of the machine, and how damaging that was for you, right? But, and here's a word I thought I would never ever use myself, right? In a sense, I'm thinking you've both become woke, right? To yourselves and where you want to be and how you want to be. Do you both consider yourselves to be part of the industry that you were involved in?
I certainly don't.
How do you navigate that though? Do you know what I mean? Because I've talked to quite a few musicians now about that, and that in itself can be a struggle. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like I've never actually felt part of the industry, even when I was in it. Well, I'm still in it, but it's almost like we've created our own little industry to sort of do things the way we want to do it without damaging ourselves. But I've just been part of it, and but no, as you say, I can't remember what you said now, but no, we feel like we're out of the industry
I think
now.
we've created a bit of a cottage industry around a bit as well. Well, we can be.
We can pick and choose now.
Independent. We don't need to. But my story's maybe slightly different from yours, because I work for every major record label. I work for everybody in the last 30 or 40 years, and I don't feel like I'm part of that anymore. And I'm very.
I never felt like I was ever part of it though, even if I was at events with all these famous folk and all that. I feel like I would be part of it if they let me get on with what I was good at, you know. The only resentment I have really is just understanding why they'd want to put a young guy through all that, you know. Struggle with that. And when I watch young kids on the telly, I say young kids, but young artists on the telly, and I know a few of them, and I'm watching and I'm like, goodness me, you're going through exactly the same thing. And I tried talking to one actually, his manager fucking sat beside him, and I knew they were just like, he was going to be done in 6 months, I knew that. And I wanted to just have a quiet word to be like, mate, you see this right now? I went through everything, mate, and I was like, you just have to do, if you didn't believe in it, don't fucking write it, don't do what they want you to do just because you think, well, it's my only chance. Everything's going to come for you. I was trying to sway him away, and I could see his wee manager, like with industry, because I know what they're all like. And I know that he'll maybe one day, in 10 years, be me sitting here, going, oh, Callum said that to us, and now it makes sense, and I would like that. But equally, as you say, it works for a lot of people. David was incredibly successful in the music industry, so it worked for him.
Brilliant, mate. Thanks.
But I mean, definitely just created their own thing, and maybe that, in a sense, shows a little bit of weakness to an extent. I couldn't handle it. But at the end of the day, I just want to be happy in life, really. You know, it's that simple. Peace and happiness, that's all I want. And if that means that I need to have less, and I need to, in other people's eyes, that's fine, you know. As long as I love my music and I love what I'm doing and I'm happy to be here tonight, I'm happy to sit and talk to you, and it makes me happy, it makes me feel peace and all that, then I know I'm in the right place, you know, and I'm not sat in a fucking...
Callum, can I just say that I don't see a weak man in front of us now. I think it takes a hell of a lot of bravery and self-belief to do what yous have both done. Do you know what I mean?
Mate,
so thank you.
Cheers, my man.
We've got a couple of people in the audience I would just like to introduce you guys to, and they can talk a little bit about what they do. We did it in the last one as well. You introduced Bands of Brothers, and Gary, who's from Brothers in Arms, spoke of what he does. Kieran, who's in the audience, works. Have you got the microphone there?
You go.
Cheers.
Sorry, a moment.
There you go.
Cheers.
So Kieran works with men's issues. I had the pleasure to go down there one Friday night and do a chat where you put on men's circles most Friday nights, well, every Friday night. You also do retreats, and I'll let you explain a little bit more, but where I just basically just got to go in there and just basically, talk about my mental health journey, and I got to sit and listen to share some of the other men in the room, and it was one of the most powerful experiences of my life. And the work that you guys are doing is incredible, and that's why I wanted to get here tonight, was to celebrate you as a person, just because of it's so clear that you aren't doing it to make money. It's like, the retreats that you put on for guys are just done at like a cost basis where and yeah, just want to just get a wee chance just to talk about what I should do.
Aye, ripping with fear there when he's giving me compliments, man. I'm like, oh, stop. Just want to say thank you, Ross, for inviting us tonight, mate. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I'm not really into music or anything like that. My wee man knows you, but he's 14, mate. He's right into you, so I was looking forward to it. I told him, pure cool dad, so I'm going to see Callum Beattie tonight and all that, you know what I mean? But mate, it's mad that me and Ross went for a coffee all week, and similar to this situation, man, see, just listening to people or talking to people who are on eye level with you, like-minded people, talking about things that actually make sense and they're meaningful, man. Just that connection, it's mad. For somebody like me, I've not got a clue about the music industry whatsoever, so listening to you say that, I knew it was a bit corrupt and all that kind of stuff, man, all the rabbit hole stuff you can do, know what I mean, but I don't really know much about it, but hearing it from yous who's have been through it, man, know what I mean, like from outside looking in, you would think it's all sunshine and rainbows, know what I mean, but it's no, and see the way you talk about your mental health and your struggles, know that, mate, like, I take my hat off to you, man, because it takes a lot to do that, mate. I'm 33, I almost started turning my life around 3 years ago. I never spoke about it, man. I lived in pure anger, fear, resentment, man, everything under the sun. That's what led me to make start the group, something through recovery. I've lived a mad life, ended up diagnosed with a heart condition and all that because I was living my life, know what I mean, so I had to turn things around. Through recovery, did the 12 steps and all that, and just gave me a change of thinking, but getting through that process, it's helped others, and I was realising 12 steps to that just for addiction. I was talking to pals, man, people like yourself, whose seeds are just fried beyond belief, but they don't turn to drink and drugs the way I did, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, you just realise it's no just people who are addicts or people who have addiction or anything that's suffering, so I was like, I need to try and do something here. And that's why I started the meeting last year in January, and made a stupid video on Instagram, man, and it just blew up and it's went mad.
How many views did it get?
Like 700,000, man. It's pure fear, heavy duty fear, man. Storming a bridge, but it was it's just amazing. It's good and bad, because it's good the attention that it got, but it's bad because it needs that much attention. That's what I don't like about it. It's like, and there's so many more people out there, like, you've seen the meeting how busy it is and stuff, and it's busy. We run 2 meetings now a week, and we're upping it to 3 meetings as of next week over Glasgow, East Kilbride, Pomodie. You're talking between 20 to 60 guys a meeting, and that's just the people who come. Do you know what I mean? There's so many people out there who'll be watching, and they've just not got the courage to do it. And we go to schools. I was in a school this morning, just sharing my experience, and just seeing me guys' faces light up, and like, you can tell they're IDing with you, man. And a wee boy burst out greeting today, the first time it's ever happened, and he shared something. He went into a one-to-one basis, and he shared something that he'd never shared before, and I'm just like, wow, like, that's me just talking about my life and what I've been through and the things, the mad shit that I've been up to and all that, and he's ID'd with that at his age, and I'm just like, how amazing is that? And then we went from there up to Ballina to talk to people who are in prison, man, do you know what I mean? Like, people in there, you've got people in there who are absolutely hating life, and then I met a guy who said he's never had more opportunities for when he stepped into jail, and you're just like, fuck me, man, how mad's that? Do you know what I mean? But and hats off to you for the up and down thing, mate. I'm a support worker as well, so I work with autistic boys, and we take one of them to the music class at Royal Theatre, and they were talking about that. When you says that, it just clicked, mate. But see what you says, when I walk into the house, man, 2 dudes run here and grab you and hug you and all that, man, you're just like, so I don't even get that attention off my missus when I walk in the house, man, know what I mean? Get pure dogs abuse and all that, but it's like, and see exactly what you say. That's what I says to my pals. See the way they live their life. They've not got a care in the world, man. I take them with their wee clubs and all that, and they're just heavy going for it all them, and dancing about and doing arts and crafts and all that. and I'm sitting like pure hating myself sometimes in the house, man, pure putting myself down about every wee thing a day, and you're just like, who's the one with the real problems here? Do you know what I mean? They're living a good life, pure on cloud nine, man, and I'm worried about bills and the way I look in the mirror and put myself down, and I'm no my shite dad, my shite partner, my shite son, I'm shite. Do you know what I mean? Can I take a compliment when somebody's telling me I'm doing good? I want to tell them to stop, man, know what I mean? But aye, just, mate, it was amazing to listen to. I wasn't sure what to expect, but on a Friday, mate, like Ross explained, we have a share. I don't know if it's anything you'd have a bit for doing, mate, but if you came along, mate, it's hard to explain it, but mate, the power in the room's mad. Like, it's people who've tried to commit suicide 2 days ago to people who have just had relationship issues, man. But see, because it's everybody at eye level, it's just that, mate, you can't explain it, can't you know? It's madness, but it's a mad buzz you came out with, man. It's just, it's powerful stuff, and it's like,
if there's anybody that doesn't believe that there is an issue with mental health in this country, I dare them to go to that, and it makes it possible. Do you know what I mean? And you know, and what's beautiful is just like, I'm in this WhatsApp group with all you guys, and it's just like the love and support that you can see all these men giving each other. Like, it's incredible.
Aye. It's good, but it's people like yourselves and Ross and everybody sitting here, there's people like that, and yourself, mate, starting groups, mate, need more people who actually care and give a fuck, man, 'cause a lot of people don't, or whatever, or a lot of people do care, but they don't do anything about it. Do you know what I mean? I sat on the group idea for months because I was scared to do it. I was scared of the backlash about it having, and one day I was just like, no, what, man, fuck it, I'm going to do it, and then I did it, and then it blows up. Do you know what I mean? Similar to yourselves, what yous have done, man. How many people can say they've done that, turn their back on the big bad industry, and then they've made it work? Know what I mean? It's madness, man. It's just having the balls to do it sometimes. But you find when you do it, but it makes a difference. Do you know what I mean? It can. And it's people that you see opening up and talking and letting people know it's alright. See, when you've got that kind of stage, man, you need to use it for that as well. It's just let people know it's alright to know be alright, because you need to talk, man. Do you know what I mean? There's too many people sit just fucked, man, and they don't date about it and think that's a normal way of living. That's the scary thing. People think it's normal, like, oh, everybody's got problems, but if you talk about them, you can get better, man. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
But sorry, I'm going to man rant with all that mad stuff, but it's, I appreciate you for inviting us, mate, and I appreciate your talk. It was really good to listen to you.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you, Kieran, mate. Obviously, all the ticket sales from tonight goes to a charity called Enter, which I'm a trustee of, with Pamela over there as well. And Pamela, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it. Come on, we'll do this. There you go. Talk a bit about Enter.
Yep. So again, just brilliant to hear you guys like sharing your story, and I've had wee windows into like artist liaison at like festivals and did the pub game for many years, so I've seen a lot of what you're talking about, and just really good to hear somebody speak out about it when you do have like a bigger platform, as opposed to just like going along with it because it's easier in other ways. So yeah, Enter, Ross and I and Steve, Alison are working just now to help people learn a bit more about like holistic ways to manage mental health, because obviously we've spoken tonight about how the way the system's working at the moment is not ideal. It doesn't work out for a lot of people. There's people waiting for long times, like what you were talking about with your kids earlier. So initially we were setting out to show people more about the impact that sound healing, breathwork, meditation, nutrition could have, and we've ended up sort of sharing a bit about that, but now putting people in touch with other facilitators and practitioners who can like get them involved in networks and communities. So I work as a therapist, and a lot of what we've spoken about, Ollie, is I've been part of like the wellness industry in different ways, either working or using that for our own mental health. And I think that as we've sort of talked through it all, the main thing that people are missing is being able to actually connect with folk and talk openly and honestly, like what everybody's doing tonight, and to try and get people into positions and groups where that's available to them. So we've sponsored people to go out into like groups where they're doing online sessions. They're maybe doing like journal prompts and meditations and things like that, and then getting to meet people and joining groups after it online, like WhatsApp groups, but then actually going and seeing each other at events, like maybe they've been to like boxing classes or like sound healing events, all these different things. And what we've seen is like people coming out the other side of that where they actually then have new pals that they would never have met otherwise, and like a new perspective and seeing themselves from a new perspective. I work as a therapist, and a lot of the people that I support, like they can work through their trauma and deal with all of these different aspects, make all of these changes, but then coming out the other end of it, what do you do to build a network? So everybody that's bought tickets in here has like helped us put more people. I've actually spoken to 2 people today who, again, they've been through like the process of doing their own self-work, but they don't really know where to start as far as like getting connected with other people and community and all of that sort of stuff. So they will be like supported by your ticket sales, which is totally amazing. And obviously you guys come and doing this, so aye, that's just brilliant to see that this has happened. I didn't actually know. I thought you were going to be singing or something tonight. I didn't realise like that it was only the podcast and you were only going to be talking, but it's been so much better just to hear everything that you've shared, especially like going into neurodivergence, mental health. So yeah, if there's any more you want to share about Enter, that's over to you, Ross.
I need it. I'll take it. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's. I mean, the 4 main things that we try to cover within Enter are, you know, it's human connection, nutrition, self-regulation, regulate your nervous system, and we really try to work out purpose and meaning as well. And the reason that those 4 things is that basically that's what we need to thrive as a species, you know. So it's trying to work out ways that we can try and build enterprises, businesses within cities that can essentially bring these 4 things to places that will bring that, you know, a symbiotic nature, which we need, because whether we like it or not, we have essentially built this world that is not 100% great for us, you know. And if you look at it, we live in a society which is we're massively disconnected. We're trying to afford healthy food, let alone find it, is very, very challenging. And, you know, trying to find people with a regulated nervous system is pretty hard to find. And most people don't even know what purpose means. Don't even know it. Like the thing that you have found. So most people go through life and just don't even know what that feels like.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, I turned the brand into, you know, I was the same 5 years ago, where I was just kind of just like miserable. I was in that mindset of like, I'm going to build my brand up, and then in 10 years time I'm going to sell it, and then I'll be happy. Mm-hmm. And then I was just like, and then obviously had some epiphanies over the last few years, and really looked at my business, and I was just like, right, okay, I'm going to use this for some kind of form or purpose. Mm-hmm. How is it I can make clothing that makes a difference? Yeah. And wake up every day and look myself in the mirror and knowing that the world needs me to be doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And you guys will get that as well.
Well, we're doing exactly the same thing.
You know, you wake up and you look at that and you go...
More than just getting on a stage and playing.
And the funny thing is just like, I'm doing the exact same job that I did 4 or 5 years ago, right? The exact same thing, most days, except I'm really happy now. And I think changing, and that's the thing is, it's just like, it's removing that, you know, that I wanted to remove that pot of gold, that thing, you know what I mean, that and actually go, right, okay, you're in a job where you get to be creative, you get to meet lots of nice people, like let's build an environment that you want to be in for the rest of your life. And that's the whole point of doing these things as well, these podcasts, where I'm sitting here going, all right, how is it we make a difference within this world? The music industry's fucked, the fashion industry's fucked, everything's fucking, everything's inverted. Yeah. You know, everything's inside out. And that's where it's just like, for me, it's just like, I don't particularly want to be a podcaster. I can't concentrate long enough. You know what I mean? I can't. But this is what we are trying to do here. And there's, you know, a couple of guys in the room as well. It's just like, you know, that are in this with me as well, is that we're trying to build a community of people, right, that want to create change, that want that. And the only way we're going to be able to create change is if we have musicians, comedians, you know, since Mark Black came on the last podcast and he was just like, I want to be involved in what you're doing, he can come tonight. But it's trying to create a movement or a community of people, which is, I think you touched on it, Jordan, which is, you know, people being a part of something that's bigger than being a pop star. Totally, man.
bigger than being in, you know, having a fashion brand or anything like that. It's just like, and having that feeling of control that we're actually making a difference together. And that's the only way that it works, is by empowering everybody to feel like they are doing it as well. Not one person charging away. It's all of it, everybody doing it together. And that's what we want to do with this, you know, and that's where it's just like, maybe do a couple more in the shop, and then I'm going to try and move into a big venue and go for it. And then Temple nightclub in Clydebank, right? So, but, and then, yeah, and take it from there, you know. And like, obviously, like, we've got ties within holistic industries. Like, we know people that can get people pretty well. And it's just trying to find out ways to communicate that to people in the right way and have this perspective shift within a society, which we need to do. So, and you guys turning up here tonight as a step forward in that.
Totally, man.
You know, coming here and talking the way that you're talking, every single person that's walked into this room tonight has helped with that, because I'm never going to stop. Do you know what I mean? And there's people in this room as well that won't stop, because I have the same feeling that you've got, where it's just like, I know what I'm here to do. If I can use my fashion brand to make a difference, I'll keep doing it. If it's going to get to that point where it's not going to make a difference, I'll shed the skin and I'll do something else. So, because that's the thing, is it's just like, I've got a daughter, and I look at her and she loves to sing, she loves to dance, and I go like, she wants to be a singer, she wants to be a dancer. And it's just like, what's she walking into? What world is she walking into? From the point of view, is just like, because creativity and substance is getting ripped out of everything. So, and that's me, I had my rant. But I just want to say thank you to every single one of you for turning up tonight and being here, and thanks to the guys as well, TJ, Emil and Yves as well, so for being part of this. Let's give everybody a round of applause. That's us. You can all go home.
I get to keep my top.
You can stay for as long as you want. What?
I get to keep my top.
You can keep your top, sir.
Sorry, it gets a bit.
Cheers. Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet everyone. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Get stuff off my chest.